Recording has started. Okay, great. All right. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Really appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to join me here in our webinar to learn a little bit more about the GWN7602 and GWN7630LR, two of our newest additions to our Wi-Fi networking portfolio, two new access points. My name is Brian Van Meter. I am a marketing manager here at Grandstream Networks. Today I have made a very quick presentation that will give us a pretty good overview of the technical specs, the features, capabilities, and deployment scenarios of these two new devices. Hopefully, you all will get a very fine understanding of these new devices and their capabilities from it. Afterwards, I will go ahead and answer any questions whatsoever. For those of you who are joining us via the IP Video Talk portal, if you have any questions, please go ahead and utilize that Q&A option right down there. Should be a little question, little Q inside a little chat box, I believe. You can go ahead and ask questions there, and I'll get to it after this, after I do the presentation. If you're joining via Facebook on Facebook Live, or on YouTube, go ahead and ask your questions in the comments, and we will get back to you there as well. Of course, if you are joining us via IP Video Talk, I will be emailing out the slides and recording after, along with it being made available on our YouTube page and, like I said, Facebook as well. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get my presentation up here. Come on. There we go. All right. Okay, everyone. So we are here to talk about the GWN7602 and GWN7630LR, or long range access point. These are two new additions to our Wi-Fi portfolio that we're pretty excited about here. And actually, well, at least kind of talking in a range standpoint, it's rather one's on one side of the spectrum and one's on the other side. Whereas our GWN7602 is made for more condensed deployments with many different rooms, such as hotels, for example. And the GWN7630LR is made for those deployments where you need to cover massive expanses of area, such as outdoor warehouses, train yards, stadiums, other type of deployment scenarios there. So let's jump right into it. First, we'll go ahead and cover the GWN7602. So this access point is ideal, like I was saying earlier, for your small-sized businesses, homes, offices, and hotels. It actually provides 300 megabit ports as well, and two of those ports can actually provide power. They are PSE capable, meaning you'd be able to power IP phones, for example, in hotel rooms, IP phones, cameras, other type of PoE equipment, along with being able to provide connection to IP-TVs, computers, and any other similar devices. Excuse me. It offers dual band 2x2x2 MIMO technology. It has a pretty sophisticated antenna design within it. It's ideal network throughput, and it actually can support up to 80 clients within a 100-meter coverage range. So this is really an ideal product when it comes to deploying in your kind of hotels, when you need a small access point covering many different rooms within, let's say, an office complex, where you have many rooms, many doors, where one access point deployed throughout it won't be able to penetrate through all those walls, etc. It's a great call for that. I'll be getting into deployment scenarios a little bit later as well in this presentation. But just moving along, taking a quick look at our technical specifications of the GWN7602. It's pretty straightforward and small device that is available here. It has, like I said, those two PSE Ethernet ports in LAN 2 and LAN 3 with one extra Ethernet port sitting on LAN 1. PoE input port sitting over there, along with a DC input if powering this device through PoE is not an option for you. That is also available. All right, so taking a quick look at our feature overview with the device. 1.17 gigabit per second aggregate wireless throughput. Like I said, it has a 1 gigabit uplink port and 300 megabit wireline speed, so the LAN 1, LAN 2, and LAN 3. Up to 100 meter coverage range, excuse me. So when you do deploy this in an area that does kind of start to push that boundary, it may be needing its own access point. You don't need to worry. This device can completely do it all and still cover your larger rooms in most deployments. Has self-powered action upon auto detection. This means with PoE, PoE Plus, and PSE. So be able to regulate that power accordingly. You won't have to worry about setting anything else on the back end or configuring anything. It will work just fine when you're plugging different PoE required devices into it or powering it with PoE, PoE Plus. Nothing that you have to configure overtly on that end. We have anti-hacking secure boot, as with all of our access points and critical data control and lockdown via our digital signatures. All of our access points, we strive to have very powerful security built within them, especially because these devices can have a lot of critical information moving throughout them, depending on the deployment. Always want to keep people safe and their data secure. It's important for us, and as I'm sure for your clients as well. It can support up to 80 Wi-Fi client devices. So like I was saying earlier, in deployments where this would maybe have to cover a larger room with a bigger amount of individuals. So let's say, for example, an education deployment where you have many of these spread across many different lecture halls, classrooms, you'd be able to go ahead and connect and support all of the individuals needed within that, like a charm. Advanced QoS to also ensure real-time performance of low latency applications. Basically, this just means our GWN access points and the GWN7602 included can prioritize the traffic coming through it to make sure that the devices that need connections now are getting them. All right. And I am really sorry about that. So I need to fix this in the slide. It does not have an embedded controller. However, you can connect the device via the GWN.cloud or our GWN manager, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So a little bit sorry about the typo there on this slide. All right, so deployment using gigabit uplink, this device does support it. So the GWN7602 connects to the network infrastructure via its gigabit Ethernet uplink port. All right, and then this device does also support a mesh network and mesh capabilities as well, which can definitely be very important when deploying several of these throughout a deployment. All right, so basically you can have multiple access points connect together without having to actually be wired together. So for our example here, a single GWN7602 can connect to, of course, the wired network, or LAN, and then additional GWN7602s or other Grandstream access points, for that matter, can connect wirelessly to the LAN network through the first GWN7602. This is using our mesh technology. And this can really help eliminate any need for expensive and time-consuming extra wiring. All right, so the device itself, when it comes to GWN7602, supports one jump star hierarchy. So from our central access point here, can support one jump up to the next access points. All right, so management options is what I was talking to a little bit earlier for the GWN7602. The management options for this is our GWN.cloud, which is our free cloud management platform, along with the GWN Manager. This is something that's currently in beta, and if you guys want to test it, it's an open beta, so be sure to follow up with me after this presentation, and in a follow-up email, I'll probably even include a link to it. But it's an on-premise version of the GWN cloud. But this offers, like I said, software-based management of all of our access points. All right, so let's take a quick shift here and take a look at the GWN7630LR. So this device is an outdoor long-range Wi-Fi access point. Really helps medium to large businesses. So we're looking at enterprises that could have multiple floors, multi-floor offices, our warehouses and train yards, like I was talking to earlier, hospitals, school campuses, and more. But basically, it provides that long-range coverage, both in an indoor and outdoor spaces when needed. So this device has a few kind of things in it that's very interesting, which we'll touch on in a second here. The antennas on the device can actually be detached, and a new alternate antenna attached to it, which I'll show that in a little bit here. But otherwise, very simple, as is with our other access points: reset pinhole, Ethernet port, and our PoE port. All right. So our feature overview for our GWN7630LR. So it supports 2.33 gigabit per second aggregate wireless throughput. You have 2 gigabit Ethernet ports on the device. It supports mesh in the 5G band. So it's dual band, 4x4x4, MIMO, Wave 2 technology. That's a lot to say, but really this just means the device can support a lot of client devices on it and maintaining a long-range connection to them and a very quick transfer rate between them all. So it does have support for PoE and PoE+, and like I said, with this device being an LR, long range, up to a 300-meter coverage range, and it can support roughly more than 200 concurrent Wi-Fi client devices. This can be tablets, any kind of, for example, scanning devices that may be required, along with anything else like that. Phones, of course. It has IP66 level weatherproof and a wide temperature range support, just to make sure that in our outdoor deployments, this device is completely supported, no matter where you put it. All right, it's managed by a built-in controller. This one does have that. Like I said, sorry about that typo earlier. This device does have the built-in controller that is accustomed to almost all of our GWN access points. You do also have the option to manage it with the GWN.cloud. And like I was saying earlier, our upcoming on-premise software controller, GWN Manager. All right, and of course, last but not least, it does support those anti-hacking features, those secure features that are custom to all of our access points, just to make sure that all data coming in and going out are as secured as possible. All right, so being a long-range device here, just here's a quick comparison between a more open area that our dev team tested right out on a country road. Honestly, they set this up and just started walking to see what we were looking at with connection speeds and connection capabilities. On the top lines there, of course, you can see 5G capabilities. A little quick drop off, as you would expect from 5G connection. And then our 2.4G upload and download stable throughout all distance. So you will notice we did test this up to roughly about 400 meters. So in the kind of ideal environment, so a completely wide open area, and you may hit this with, like, for example, rec facilities that are outdoor, large outdoor parks, golf courses, for example, really can sort of reach beyond that 300-meter limit. But we do like to sort of put that hard cap on 300 meters just to be safe. All right, and then compare it on the right here to our campus deployment. So this was a deployment that you would expect in sort of more of a city and industrial park kind of deployment, with many different buildings in the way, in many different structures, interfering with the actual signature as well. All right. So moving on here to the weatherproof capabilities of the device, just to kind of highlight it a little bit more. IP66 level weatherproof capabilities when it's installed vertically. It's definitely a key point here. Be sure to deploy this device the way it's supposed to. It has an operation temperature of -30 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. And then a wall mount or pole mount kits are included with the device. So it does support an external detachable antenna. So what does this mean? So here's a pretty quick example. Apologize for the pictures. I know they're not the highest quality, but we had our engineer team just kind of take some pictures with it just to sort of be able to demonstrate it to everyone. But you'd be able to remove the standard antenna on the devices to install the GWN7630LR vertically. And this would leave enough space on the top and the bottom. Pretty straightforward. You then install your directional antenna that you would like to connect to the GWN7630 back to back. And you would connect them by an antenna cable. And last but not least, you adjust that external antenna in the direction to your liking. Pretty cool. All right. So this device does support both omnidirectional and directional antenna arrays. So with our omnidirectional antenna, this radiates evenly among 360 degrees in the horizontal direction. So this is really commonly used in open spaces such as parks, campuses, schools, etc. GWN7630 would be put in a centralized location, and then omnidirectional would reach around. All right, and then our directional antennas, which radiate in a certain angle in the horizontal direction, of course. And this would help, this antenna is shielded from interference coming from different side angles. So this is really used when you have maximum distance communication scenarios. So basically when you need to make sure that through a certain corridor or down a certain direction, a connection can be made the entire way. So long and narrow coverage areas such as warehouses, warehouse aisles, for example. High density controlled radio cells such as stadiums, large shopping malls, concerts, etc. All right. So I just want to kind of plug GWN.cloud real quick. At this point, I feel like a lot of people know about it, but I just want to mention it here. I'm not really going to read through everything, but basically GWN Cloud enables you to take all of our access points, connect them to a cloud-hosted service, and from there you can configure, manage, provision, troubleshoot the devices entirely just from a laptop or from your phone, so you don't even have to actually be on site to do these things. Really convenient, very useful way to go ahead and do this to completely take care of your devices. And there is no limit to the amount of access points that you would be able to put onto it. And of course, you would be able to separate your access points based on deployment site. So it's not like everything's just lumped together. You would be able to, for every single client that you have, set up a deployment site. So definitely a fantastic tool that if you're using our GWNs or are going to be looking into using them, this is definitely a great option for you. On top of that as well, like I said, I'm going to include a link just because it is an open beta. We do have a software version of this that is available, GWN Manager. So this is an on-premise version. So in sort of deployments where security may be a little bit more of a concern, you still would be able to utilize this really great service. So moving along. So GWN7602, let's take a quick look at our deployment scenarios for this device. There's a lot of them highlighted here. I'm going to go through, I think I have 3 key ones I want to point out. But as you can see here from our graphic, we're looking at medical and dental clinics, retail scenarios. SMBs and enterprises could possibly use this depending on their layouts. Hotels and hospitality, of course, this is what a key deployment of this device is looking at. Your typical restaurants and coffee shops could be a great option. Then, of course, apartment complexes as well, just kind of piggyback off that hotel and hospitality option. All right, just going to take a real quick drink of water. and I will continue on. All right. So hotels. So the GWN7602. This is really probably, I would say, the key kind of deployment scenario for this access point. So due to its compact size, our gigabit ports, any hotel phone or TV can be connected to the GWN762 via its Ethernet cables, and it can connect to the internet instantly that way through the GWN7602. Key thing to note as well, for example, here we have one of our Grandstream devices, the GWN762, as a reminder, can provide PoE connections to PoE capable devices. So this really helps cut down on the extra wiring that honestly some people just may find unsightly and not want in their hotel rooms. This is really a good extra sell here for the device. So hotels can secure their Wi-Fi networks as well in this case. So the GWN, much like 7602, just like all of our other access points, does support customized landing pages with logon credential requirements, and these can be handed to guests at check-in. So this would allow hotels as well to monitor the use of their networks. This can also ensure that no outside users can gain access to their network. At the same time, each GWN7602 can have multiple SSIDs. So this means that you could have, for example, custodial staff equipped with Wi-Fi phones in which they could easily move throughout the facility and maintain a connection for any type of communication purposes. This goes for any staff members whatsoever, for example, with our WP820. All right, so let's take a quick look at offices here. So this is really great for more of those small to kind of medium-sized office spaces. This is really, we're looking at startups or locally owned establishments. Just due to kind of the size and range and affordability, this is really a great option, especially because you could deploy one of these devices, still support up to 80 Wi-Fi client devices, while also offering an Ethernet connection to a computer when it is necessary. So outside of offices too, you may see similar deployments in this, such as coffee shops, for example, where a connection will be required, and also a public Wi-Fi and a sort of business Wi-Fi network would be a necessity. No problem. GWN7602 would definitely be an ideal choice for this. All right. So pivoting into that, looking at our retail section here. So great choice for retail, commercial locations. So like I was just saying, coffee shops, but also restaurants, clothing stores, more mall deployments where a GWN7602 or just an access point would be required in every single establishment, every single store. It's a great option for that just because it can provide that Ethernet connection through it, functioning through its 3 different LAN ports, and a PoE connection to PoE capable devices such as point of sale devices, of course IP phones when required within the store, along with providing a Wi-Fi connection, which, you know, in today's sort of retail environment, a Wi-Fi connection is almost expected pretty much wherever you go. All right. Just giving everyone a few extra seconds to read everything there. Okay, so nearing the end here, guys, just going to go through the GWN7630LR deployment scenarios, and then I'll just go ahead and take any questions. So GWN7630LR deployment scenarios, much different than the 7602. We're looking at large offices, hotels, shopping centers, hospitals, for example, would be able to utilize this in outdoor areas, warehouses, education campuses, along with some hotels and situations kind of on the flip side of things on the 7602, but in outdoor locations such as pools, beaches, if it's more of like a go-away resort kind of area, golf courses, etc. All right, so let's take a quick look at education campuses. So these are large educational institutions that have big open areas such as quads or parks or any kind of stadiums, areas that students and faculty altogether would be able to utilize and still require that Wi-Fi connection. So definitely a fantastic choice for that. So students and faculty really, especially at this point, have come accustomed to instant Wi-Fi access to be able to just get their jobs done or get their work done and collaborate together no matter where they go. Students would want to roam around from classroom to dorm to library, and they really require network access no matter where they're going to check emails, look over assignments, anywhere from the campus, to be able to work where they would like. And of course, due to its weatherproof casing as well with this device, the GWN7630 can provide both indoors and outdoor support when needed. It can support up to 200 plus concurrent clients as well, which is very commonly a key component to these type of deployments. All right, outdoor recreation facilities. Oh, excuse me. So these are facilities such as our sports stadiums, concert venues, and other outdoor facilities, which could have both indoor and outdoor facets with the deployment. So the GWN7630 long range can support up to 200 clients across a 300-meter range. This is an absolutely massive area, which is definitely something that can be more ideal for these type of deployments. With both directional and omnidirectional support, the devices can either be focused towards a certain part of the stadium. So for example, you can have many different devices focused at certain seats to make sure that a certain group of individuals will always have a Wi-Fi connection and a stable one. All right, and then an IT department can really easily manage everything. So typically this requires a lot of access points for stadium, probably not as much in concert venues, for example, but nevertheless, all of this can be managed easily and monitored too within the GWN cloud management platform. Not to mention too, these devices, like I said, do support that QoS, quality of service standards, just to ensure real-time performance, just to prioritize all the traffic that's coming through the device. There's nothing more annoying, as I'm sure we all know, than a shoddy Wi-Fi signal. Let's be real. All right, guys. And I think this is the last one here, hotels. So really great for hotels that are looking to provide network coverage to outdoor spaces, so pools, your beaches, golf courses, etc. With the weatherproof casing, this is not a problem whatsoever. This would allow all hotel guests to easily roam throughout the hotel grounds without losing the connection at any time, which for hotels, customer service, that's a key thing. And of course, the detachable and changeable antennas would allow for a lot of different application scenarios. This is a really flexible long-range Wi-Fi access point because of that. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. That's the end of the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the Q&A part. Of course, you don't have to stick around for that. So if you want to go ahead and hop out, no worries whatsoever. I will be providing the slides to everyone who attended the IP video talk or registered for it, along with sending the recording on YouTube, and it's on Facebook right now, along with sending the recording to everyone as well. But let me just pop on back over and then get myself back up on the screen and take any questions that we may have. You can see a black screen just for a second here as I come on back. All right, loading back in. Okay, everyone. So yeah, that's the presentation. Thanks so much for taking some time, listen to everything I had to say. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them now. I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A on the IP video talk side. I do see some chats though, so I'll pop over there and take a quick look at those. All right. All right, Keith, you asked, can you confirm that the PSE ports support 24 volt PoE, not 48, also 802.3 AF/AT? I'm very confident it does, but that information is available on the data sheet. So I just want to double check it before I give you a firm answer. I'll go ahead and follow up separately with an email to you on that, along with including the answer for that with our follow-up email that will have everything. Later on, could you advise the placing this access point in a large hall? Should this be placed horizontal or vertically in the intended direction? This device should always be deployed vertically, 100% of the time, pretty much. You know, I'm sure there's certain maybe scenarios where you shouldn't do that, but you should always deploy this device vertically, just to be clear, especially if it's outdoors. So for a large hallway kind of scenario, you'd want to go ahead and utilize omnidirectional. So the access point would be placed at the end of the hallway. Then you would be able to position the antennas and configure the device to aim primarily straight down that hallway. That way you can make sure that everything would be supported throughout the hallway the entire time. Not really sure what the exact application here in that scenario is, but you'd want to go ahead and do that. And as I was showing the slide earlier, you really could cover up to about 400 meters if you do this. But like I said, 300 meters tends to be more of the cutoff that we like to say, just to be totally confident about the device being supported and at the speeds that we claim it is going to be supported at. All right. Any certifications with the new device? Corey, if you have anything, I mean, there's nothing I can really think about off the top of my head when it comes to certification-wise. Of course, it has all your standard FCC certifications and everything. I'll go ahead and send out an email afterwards. Just go ahead and let me know what kind of certifications you may be looking for, and I can follow up with our dev team on that, and of course our IT team too, just because sometimes they work a little bit together for the certification process. Talk with them about it as well to see if it is certified, and if not, it could be something we'd be looking to certify in down the road. Well, okay. That looks like that's most of the questions, everyone. Really appreciate you taking your time. Gonna go ahead and let you all go now. Thanks for learning about our new GWN access points, the 7630LR long-range option and the 7602. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend. Almost there. Take care. Bye-bye.